Sawadee-Kap and welcome to another episode here for the Funkit Pod and my segment Media Prof Reacts to. And well, it's been almost a week, has it? It's been like almost a week. So of course I have to react to Threads. And I'm not making any thread pun. Forget about it. So we talk about Threads. Meta, Instagram launched the Threads app. And one thing I can already say, by the name, there was no German person involved in naming that because Threads is not that easy to pronounce for Germans because the TH is not our friend. Other than the name, which I'm not a big fan of for obvious reasons, other than that, Threads seems to have been quite a success. The app that reached 100 million users, the fastest ever within a few days, 2 days or something like this. The record holder before was ChatGPT. Before it was TikTok, but then ChatGPT was like way faster, and then now it's Threads within a few days only. By the way, speaking of ChatGPT, apparently losing traffic right now, the first time ever that the traffic is decreasing to ChatGPT and its apps. People wondering like, why are people using AI less and so on? Obvious answer from a uni prof here, it's holidays. It's uni holidays, and so less students are using ChatGPT. Watch it spike again come August. But back to the Threads topic, right? So there are a few things that we can learn here. I think there's also a few things that aren't that awesome just yet, in my opinion. But who am I to criticize Zuck, who's training with Israel Adesanya, with Alex Volkanovski, with all the stars in the MMA sphere. So who would I be to criticize Ed Zuck, who might be able to... Nah, after a few years of training, he wouldn't get me. Would he? God, I hope not. This aside, I also hope we never see that cage match between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, by the way. All this aside, Threads, right? So first, my opinion, in case someone cares and wants to hear it, and then I'll try to analyze a little bit. So first, personal opinion. I think the launch was super smooth, and I'm not the biggest Meta fan, as you might know if you watched or listened to previous episodes of my reactions. But I think the launch was super smooth. They pre-announced it like, hey, you can sign up now and we'll let you know once it's available. And as soon as it launched, it installed on my phone. And then there it was. And you log in and you can follow everyone from IG if you want to. That's also like my biggest pet peeve, to be honest, because I mean, on Twitter, I don't follow my Instagram people because that's completely different worlds, right? And I don't want to see my IG meme pages on Threads. I don't follow them on Twitter, so I wouldn't want to see them on Threads, right? Because I mean, to be honest, quite likely, lots of them posting the same stuff. And it works. Memes and stuff might be fun when it's on Instagram, but when I'm on Threads, I'd rather follow finance people, education people, business people, startups, and so on, right? So that's my biggest pet peeve already. But at least it helps to populate your feed. I understand that. It checks your algorithm to show you what you might be interested in. And also, to be fair, while I'm not the biggest fan of seeing your IG people and so on right away in your Threads feed, or like some random content creators that are famous, once you interact with a few things, which I did over the weekend, interacting with quite a few MMA pages, for example, once you do this, then the feed visually changes. Like, it changes very quickly, in my opinion, and you can really see, like, I reacted to, interacted with a few MMA pages over the weekend, lots of MMA content. Then yesterday I did lots of entrepreneurship stuff and followed some German entrepreneurs and so on. Lots of entrepreneurship content. So the algorithm they're clearly still figuring out how to optimize it, but it's changing very quickly. So, which I think is a good sign because it shows that it's clearly been worked on. Just like many others, I also follow the head of Instagram/Threads on Threads. And he said they're going to bring all the features that everyone is clamoring for also to Instagram. He said like the first week, they've been busy just keeping it alive and running and bug fixing. but they're working on a following feed, which I really am looking forward to. That's the number one thing that I want, because I don't want to see this random thing. So I understand like all things algorithm. I understand why the algorithm shows me certain stuff, but I don't want to see it. Like I said earlier, I don't want to see the same thing that I see on Instagram on Threads, right? I want it to be separate. I understand it's not, but that's how I would want to use it. All right, so I'm looking forward to that only seeing that following feed, because then I can decide what I see, right? I think they're also working on an edit button, which I don't really need, to be honest. I want to see, and when people F up, I want to see that on Twitter. I like to see it on Twitter. I would like to see it on Threads as well. So edit button is not that crucial for me, but they're working on it. He said. He didn't mention much about the DM feature, so I'm not sure if that's coming. I think that would be helpful, because I mean it's just something how you also network on Twitter, for example. So that would be cool. Otherwise, I find it a bit stalkerish, like a bit you style. If you see someone on Threads, then you check out their Instagram profile and then you DM them on IG maybe. So I'm not sure. Like up until now, my IG was more like for private stuff, and Twitter was like the more professional stuff. Also for rants though, of course, but that's how I handle it usually. And now if I have my IG for private stuff and then Threads for professional, now it's going to mix a lot. You know what I mean? So maybe I have to get a different IG account to then use Threads with, or make my IG private. Let's see about that. Yeah, but other than that, it's very smooth, the start. I think the transition, the app feels very smooth. It doesn't feel as clunky as Twitter at times, which I now realize that Twitter just doesn't feel as smooth. At least on, like, I don't know how it's going to feel later on in the Play Store on an Android, but on the iPhone, it feels like a really smooth, nice looking iPhone app. So it's nice, and Twitter never really felt like that. What would be very interesting, because I mean, obviously it also benefits from Elon just going, and excuse my French, but batshit crazy over the last few weeks, days. The stuff he just puts out there, and you can say he's just joking, but it's annoying. And the stuff they changed with Twitter, right? Like the rate limit, you can read more if you're pro, like if you're a verified account and you pay for it, all those things, and not supporting TweetDeck anymore, for example, for a while. I don't know if that's changed now, because I honestly moved away from Twitter quite a lot over the last week, to be honest. TweetDeck was always one of my few tabs that was always open. I always had TweetDeck open with like those my different timelines and all those things. And now I don't anymore, because of all the stuff that happened, and they didn't support it for a while. I don't know if it changed again, but that was just annoying. So once there's like a thread deck, that would be a cool name. I have my thread deck here. I know you spell it differently, but that's my thread deck. It just sounds cool. Once there's something like this, like the thread deck or something for desktop, you can schedule stuff and have like a clear overview of like different timelines. Once that's available, I'm gone Twitter, unfortunately, because then it's just super usable, also for business purposes. What I'm not looking forward to is, and I've seen some bots already, the same that are active on IG, like this, hey, I'm single, who wants some, whatever. So that would be something if AdSuck or AdThreads app could work on that. It would be cool, because it's annoying AF on Instagram. So I don't hope that they all come over to Threads as well. Other than that, it's quite nice that right now it's more like a techie bubble, or even a nerdy bubble, if you want to call it like this. It's also because in Europe it's not available as of now. You can use it. There's some workarounds to make it work, which is not too difficult, but so just not everybody is using it just yet, because you have to use that workaround to get it to work. It's like I think a rules regulation thing in Europe that if you matter and you have different platforms, you can't just use all the data from those different platforms. You have to have like a certain process in running to make sure that the data is secure and stuff like this. Europe is a bit stricter on all things data, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's not available in Europe just yet. But again, there's a workaround, and that's why I think only people who really want to be on there are on there, at least from Europe just yet. Once it's more open for everyone, it's going to be flooded probably with also more bots and scams and so on. But right now, there's no crypto scams or anything coming at me right now, which is cool. Also no ads just yet. I'm going to change, obviously, because look how heavily monetized Instagram is. But right now, no ads, which is great. One thing that's totally missing is category search. You don't need to use hashtags, but you're using hashtags on Instagram, so why not use them on Threads as well? So just finding stuff by looking for topics, looking for hashtags would be cool. Because otherwise you just see content from people that you know or that the algorithm suggests, and you can't search for it. So that topical search would be really, really important to me. But I think he said they're also working on this. Okay, so now, what do I expect is going to happen? So I listen to lots of podcasts on this topic and to lots of tech influencers, and some say, yeah, it's the end of Twitter. And it really depends on Elon, I think. Like, if he keeps effing up and just doing what he does, what he's done so far, it really looks like he's been pushing the launch of Threads. Like, he did everything right to make Threads a success. I still think, Twitter still has more users, right? Way more users. So, and it's just the legacy app. And it would be sad if Twitter would die down, because it's been with us, the internet society, forever, right? It's been there to foster change, and it was part of like big political unrest and unravelings and so on. So it would be really sad to see it go. And the thing is, I'm also not a fan of like just one company running everything. Like, now and I like Threads, right? But just you think about it, that it's like all Meta. It's Instagram, Facebook, Threads, WhatsApp. It's all one company. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm also not sure if I trust the new cool persona that Zuck is putting out there. Like, hey, I'm training MMA and I'm cool, bro. Good for him. But just remember, like a year ago, he was that awkward, weird robot in Congress that everyone said, like, man, I don't trust him. And now he's the cool MMA guy. Just because you think it's cool that he does MMA. And I think, because I'm doing mixed martial arts, right? So I think it's cool. And good for him. But he's still the dude that owns all your data, all our data. So pump the brakes a little bit in hailing Zuckerberg, okay? Nevertheless, having that said, it looks like right now he at least acts like he's the least of two evils. This could also be, though, because maybe Elon sees Zuckerberg for what he really is, and just like, why don't you people follow me? Because I'm not like him. And that drives him more crazy. Who knows? But yeah, so the difficult topic, of course. But yeah, so I think now Threads is going to keep booming, if you can call it that, after like a week. Once it gets to go in the green light in Europe. And I think they're building, it also builds anticipation, to be honest, right? That it's not available right now. It's like, hey man, I want to use it. So it builds anticipation. The user growth is going to continue for at least a few more months, I think. We will see monetization pretty soon. We probably see some content creation tools. They have it on Instagram, so why not just bring it to Threads? I don't want to see it. I like the pure community vibe that you have right now, but I think, of course, they want to monetize, so they're going to bring like content creator tools to Threads as well. Unfortunately, I think. And yeah, we will continue seeing that battle right now for, I think, few weeks / months between Twitter and Threads. I heard a few voices saying, like, I don't want to move to Threads just yet because I'm a different person on Twitter than I am on Instagram. That's what I mentioned earlier, right? But some might be even a bit worse. Like they might be, I don't know, letting it all out on Twitter, while on Instagram they have like their perfectly curated picture of themselves, for example. So let's see if everyone moves to Threads eventually. And what would help would be if you could, of course, migrate your followers somehow via contacts. Maybe you sync the contacts from Twitter to your contacts on your iPhone, and then from your iPhone to Threads. Again, I don't want to see my IG people. I want to see the Twitter people on Threads. yeah, so those are my thoughts so far. I also predict that Meta/Threads will buy the domain threads.com eventually, because right now they're on threads.net. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna buy it. It's another startup, but it hasn't developed much since 2019, I believe. Threads.com. So I think, and right now their server costs must be through the roof because everyone's going to threads.com, I guess. So I think they're buying the domain rather soon, probably. And also interesting is that, of course, Threads says it's powered by the Fediverse. The Fediverse is also what powers Mastodon, for example. So eventually, there should be connectivity possibilities, like connection possibilities. So I wonder if you can get your Mastodon followers. I haven't looked into it, to be honest. Or your connections, the people that you're following, also on Threads. I just thought about it while I talked about it, so I'm sorry I haven't looked into it. So I should look into that. I will look into that maybe next time we talk about this. So that's a cool thing, I believe, that it's more open. I still don't trust that it's all under the Meta umbrella, but the idea of it being more open is, of course, a good idea. And also that it runs on just like Mastodon on different instances, for example, is of course a good thing. Even so, then those instances are mostly run, as I just learned today, by volunteers. So it's important to support them, even though, of course, Meta could support them, but then it would be run by Meta. Difficult topic again. Again, I don't know how I feel that it's all run by Meta. Like all our internet is run by Meta and Google. But so I hope, and I know I get kind of running in circles right now, and I'm going to wrap it up now. But I do hope that the Twitter and Elon can, make another 180, because it's interesting. Like a year ago or so, I was also team Elon, right? Like, hey, no, Elon's has some cool ideas. The stuff he says sometimes it's outrageous at times, but yeah, he's got a point. But now you're just like, oh God, another tweet. Just again, pardon my French in this episode. Just shut up, man. Just shut up. Just let it be. So it's crazy how his persona and how the support changed. Even my cat agrees with me, and when I say Elon, she's, as I can hear in the background, she's complaining. I hope they can do another 180, and it would be awesome if Twitter could be saved and Twitter finds a way to take positive momentum back. But right now, it just looks like Threads did everything perfectly, and it hurts my heart to give props to Meta. But so far, well done. So yeah, now before I go down any other avenue and start complaining about potential monetization and all the ads that I see happening probably rather soon, I'll stop it here. We can talk about all the other stuff once it happens in a few weeks from now, probably. Let me know what you think. Are you on Threads yet? Do you think Threads is a good name? If you are, leave your Threads handle down below, either here on the pod in social media, or if you're watching on YouTube, leave it down below. I'll try to broaden my following circle. So chances are I'm going to follow you if you're leaving it there. Let me know what you think about Threads and where you think it's going to go from here. Until then, well, that's it. As always, stay safe, take care, like, share, subscribe, rate this podcast, leave a review. It would be cool. See you on Threads. Sawadee Krap.